The clinking of fine cutlery and murmurs of conversation filled the opulent dining room of Le Maison, a restaurant reserved for the city's elite. Logan Baxter sat at a corner table, his designer suit perfectly tailored, exuding the confidence of a man who had conquered the tech world. Across from him sat Clara, his newest business associate. Her laughter rang out like a bell as she leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Logan, you're unstoppable," Clara said, a playful smile on her lips. Logan smirked, raising his glass of wine in acknowledgement. Unnoticed by him, the restaurant doors opened and Emily Baxter stepped inside. She hesitated, her hand clutching her purse tightly. She had spent the morning rehearsing how to tell Logan her news, but now, standing here, her heart pounded with doubt. Gathering her courage, Emily crossed the room, her steps faltering only slightly as she approached Logan's table. "Logan," she began, her voice soft but firm. Logan looked up, his brows knitting together in irritation. "Emily, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk," Emily said, her eyes darting nervously toward Clara, who now regarded her with thinly veiled amusement. "Can it wait?" Logan replied curtly, gesturing toward Clara. "I'm in the middle of something." Emily shook her head, her voice trembling but resolute. "No, Logan, it's important." Claire chuckled softly. "Oh, let the poor woman speak, Logan. She looks like she's about to faint." Logan sighed dramatically, leaning back in his chair. "Fine, Emily, say what you need to say and make it quick." Emily took a deep breath, her hands trembling as she placed them on the edge of the table. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Logan stared at her, his expression unreadable, before a cold smile curled his lips. "Pregnant?" he repeated, his tone dripping with disbelief. "Emily, this isn't the time or place for your dramatics." Clara laughed lightly as though Emily's revelation was the punchline to a private joke. "Logan," Emily's voice cracked, "this isn't dramatics. This is our child." Logan stood abruptly, tossing his napkin onto the table. "Emily, go home. Whatever this is, I don't have time for it." The room seemed to close in around Emily as tears welled in her eyes. She turned and walked out, her world shattering with each step. Behind her, Logan sat back down, already resuming his conversation with Clara, oblivious to the storm he had unleashed. 3 years later, Emily Baxter stood by the window of her modest apartment, her gaze fixed on the bustling street below. Beside her, her young daughter Sophie played with a stuffed bear, her giggles filling the quiet space with warmth. Since that fateful day at the restaurant, Emily had left Logan, vowing never to look back. Carrying the weight of humiliation and heartbreak, she started a new life, determined to raise Sophie on her own. As a teacher at a small elementary school, Emily spent her days educating children and her nights caring for her daughter. Life was anything but easy. Bills piled up, sleepless nights dragged on when Sophie had fevers or cried inconsolably, and the loneliness often felt overwhelming. But every time Emily looked into Sophie's bright, innocent eyes, she found the strength to keep going. One day, during a routine checkup, the doctor detected a murmur in Sophie's heart. After further tests, Emily received the news no mother ever wants to hear. Sophie had a congenital heart defect and needed surgery urgently. "We'll do everything we can for Sophie," the doctor assured her with a sympathetic tone. But the cost of the treatment and surgery was staggering, far beyond what Emily could afford. That night, sitting at the small kitchen table, Emily picked up a pen and began to sketch out a plan. She thought back to her childhood dream, building a school for underprivileged children where they could learn and grow regardless of their circumstances. "For Sophie," Emily whispered, her eyes glinting with determination, "and for every child who needs a chance." Logan Baxter sat in his sprawling, glass-walled office, his eyes fixed on the computer screen displaying a steeply rising revenue chart. He had just closed a multi-million-dollar deal, further solidifying his reputation as one of the most successful entrepreneurs in tech. Leaning back in his chair to savor the moment, his desk phone buzzed. "Mr. Baxter, there's a call from Boston General Hospital," his assistant's voice came through the speaker. Logan frowned. "A hospital? I don't know anyone there." He said, "It's urgent. It's about Sophie Thompson." Logan froze. "Sophie Thompson?" he repeated, the name sounding both foreign and oddly familiar. He picked up the receiver. "Mr. Baxter, this is Dr. Peterson from Boston General. I'm calling regarding Sophie Thompson. She requires emergency heart surgery, and we need your consent as her father." The world seemed to tilt around Logan. "Her father?" he echoed. "What do you mean? I have a child?" On the other end, the doctor responded patiently. "Our records indicate that you are the biological father of Sophie Thompson, daughter of Emily Thompson. She needs immediate surgery to save her life." Logan dropped the phone onto his desk, his mind spinning with a storm of emotions, shock, confusion, and a burgeoning sense of guilt. Rising from his chair, he walked to the large window, staring at the bustling city below. Memories rushed back. He saw Emily's face that day in the restaurant, her eyes filled with pain as he turned away from her. The last time she had tried to talk to him, begging him to listen, but he had dismissed her. "Emily," he whispered, his voice heavy with regret. Without hesitation, Logan picked up his personal phone and searched for Emily's number. The call rang endlessly before going to voicemail. "Emily, I just got a call from the hospital about Sophie. She's our daughter, isn't she? Please call me back. I need to know everything." His voice cracked as he ended the call. Logan knew he couldn't let this go. He had to find Emily and see his daughter, if only for once. Logan Baxter stood outside the doors of Boston General Hospital, his heart pounding so loudly he could feel it in his chest. He had never felt so nervous before. Inside, somewhere in this vast building, were Emily and Sophie, the daughter he had never met. With hesitant steps, Logan approached the information desk. "I'm here for Sophie Thompson," he said, his voice rough with anxiety. The staff member pointed down a hallway. "Room 315, third floor." As he walked through the corridor, Logan spotted Emily in the distance. She was talking to a nurse, her hand gently resting on Sophie's shoulder, a little girl with curly brown hair and striking blue eyes. Those eyes stopped Logan in his tracks. They were his eyes. Sophie looked up, her curious gaze locking onto Logan's. She tugged at Emily's hand. "Mom, who is that man?" Emily turned, her eyes widening in shock as they met Logan's. A storm of emotions crossed her face, shock, anger, and a flicker of pain. "Logan," she said, her voice low and cold. Logan stepped forward, guilt and emotion tightening his chest. "Emily, I came as soon as I got the call. I didn't know about Sophie. I'm sorry." Emily crossed her arms, her glare piercing. "Why are you here, Logan? Where were you for the past 3 years?" Logan glanced at Sophie, who clung tightly to her mother. "I know I've made mistakes, but I want to do the right thing now. Sophie needs me, and I need to be here for her." Emily studied him for a long moment, as if weighing the sincerity in his words. Finally, she sighed. "She needs surgery soon, and I can't afford it. If you truly want to help, then save my daughter." Before Logan could respond, alarms blared throughout the hallway. A team of doctors and nurses rushed into Sophie's room. Emily screamed, "What's happening?" A doctor turned, his tone urgent. "Sophie is experiencing severe arrhythmia. We need to stabilize her immediately." Logan and Emily froze outside the room as the doors to the emergency ward closed in front of them. Emily buried her face in her hands, sobbing, while Logan stood motionless, fear and helplessness washing over him. "She'll be okay," Logan said quietly, his voice trembling. He reached out and took Emily's hand. For the first time in years, she didn't pull away. Time seemed to crawl. Finally, a doctor emerged, looking exhausted but relieved. "We've stabilized Sophie. She'll need surgery soon, but for now, she's out of immediate danger." Emily broke into tears of relief, embracing the doctor to thank him. Logan, standing nearby, silently thanked the heavens that he hadn't lost his daughter. Logan Baxter sat in the hospital waiting room, his eyes fixed on the view outside the window. The past few days had changed everything. He used to think that his career, wealth, and reputation were all he needed, but now, the only thing he wanted was to see Sophie healthy again. Emily entered the room, her eyes still puffy after a sleepless night by Sophie's side. She sat down across from Logan, keeping a cautious distance. "We need to talk," Emily began, her voice tired but resolute. Logan nodded. "I know. I want to do whatever it takes to make things right. Sophie needs me, and I'm not going anywhere." Emily furrowed her brows, skepticism written all over her face. "Why now? Why didn't you care for the past 3 years, but after one phone call you decide to come back?" Logan sighed, his hands clasped tightly together. "I have no excuse. I only know that the moment I got that call, I realized I had lost the most important thing in my life. I was wrong, Emily. But now, I want to make things right. Not just for Sophie, but for you too." Emily remained silent, her gaze softening slightly, though her caution was evident. "You need to prove it, Logan. Words don't mean much to me anymore." A few days later, Logan met Clara in his office. She stood leaning against his desk, her sharp eyes scrutinizing him. "Logan, I haven't seen you at the office lately. What's going on? You know we have a big project coming up," Clara said, her tone almost accusatory. Logan took a deep breath, his gaze firm and unwavering. "Clara, I came here to tell you that it's over between us." Clara arched an eyebrow, a disbelieving smile curving her lips. "Over? Logan, are you joking? We've built everything together, and now you want to walk away for an ex-wife and a child you've never even met?" Logan stood his ground. "Yes, I made a mistake when I lost Emily and Sophie. Now I have to fix it. Family is the only thing that matters to me now, Clara. Whatever we had doesn't mean anything anymore." Clara stepped closer, her voice dropping into a bitter tone. "You think you can just waltz back into their lives and everything will be fine? You'll regret this, Logan." Logan didn't flinch. "Maybe. But if I don't try, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I've made my decision." Clara stared at him for a moment before turning away. "Good luck, Logan. You're going to need it." As Clara left, Logan felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He knew this was the right choice. Just days after his conversation with Clara, Logan stood before the board of his company. The decision had solidified in his heart. Family would always come first. Familiar faces stared at him in shock as he made his announcement. "I'm resigning as CEO, effective immediately," Logan stated firmly. "Additionally, I'm donating 50% of my shares to fund educational and health initiatives, including my daughter's surgery." A ripple of disbelief spread through the room. One of the board members stood up, protesting. "Logan, you're dismantling the very company you built." Logan remained calm. "If I can't fulfill my role as a father, then everything I've built is meaningless." After the meeting, Logan left the headquarters. For the first time in years, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. When he returned to the hospital, Logan saw Emily sitting by Sophie's bed, reading her a story. Sophie, still weak, smiled as she saw him enter. Logan approached and sat down beside them. "I just did something I never thought I'd do," he told Emily, his eyes full of determination. Emily looked at him, her expression a mix of surprise and emotion. "What's that?" "I gave up the company. From now on, I want to spend all my time with Sophie and support your dream," Logan replied. For the first time, Emily was at a loss for words. Instead, she simply bowed her head, letting her tears fall freely, no longer holding them back. The sun streamed through the large windows of the newly built school, flooding the colorful playground with light. Laughter echoed all around as children ran and played, surrounded by drawings and balloons decorating the space. Emily stood at the entrance, her eyes brimming with emotion as she watched her dream finally come true. The school she had always envisioned for underprivileged children was now a reality, thanks to the unexpected support from Logan. From a distance, Logan walked across the yard, holding Sophie's hand. She was now healthier than ever, her laughter ringing out like music as she ran ahead to join the other children. Logan stopped beside Emily, offering her a genuine smile. "How does it feel to finally see your dream come to life?" Logan asked, his gaze warm and filled with admiration. Emily smiled softly, her eyes following Sophie. "It feels wonderful, but what's even better is that Sophie is still here, healthy and happy." Logan nodded, a wave of emotion washing over him. "For years, I thought success was defined by numbers and deals, but now I know it's the smiles, the moments like this that truly matter." Emily turned to him, her expression softening. "You've changed so much, Logan. You're not just here for us. You're finally here for yourself, too. Logan smiled, his eyes fixed on Emily and Sophie, his heart full. I can't change the past, but I can do everything to build a better future. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the scene, Logan, Emily, and Sophie walked hand in hand across the schoolyard, leaving behind the pain of the past and stepping into a future filled with hope and love. Logan bent down, scooping Sophie into his arms. "I love you," he said softly. Sophie wrapped her arms around his neck, whispering, "I love you too, Daddy." Emily smiled, her heart lighter than ever. She reached out, holding Logan's hand, feeling the warmth and security it brought. Together, they walked forward as a true family, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The morning sunlight streamed through the curtains of their cozy suburban home. Logan Baxter, once a busy and aloof CEO, was now learning to cherish the simple moments in life. He stood in the kitchen, still awkwardly tying an apron around his waist, attempting to make breakfast for his family. "Dad, your pancake is burning," Sophie giggled, sitting on her high chair with her bright, mischievous eyes sparkling. Logan turned to the pan, sighing in mock defeat. "I'm just testing a new cooking style, sweetheart." Emily walked into the kitchen, unable to hide her smile at the sight of Logan fumbling. "Are you sure you don't need my help?" "No," Logan replied with determination. "I'll get it right this time." Sophie clapped her hands. "I believe in you, Dad." The days following Sophie's surgery were filled with joy and love. Logan had transformed not just in grand gestures, but in the smallest actions, walking Sophie to school, caring for Emily when she was tired, and dedicating time to things he once considered trivial. One afternoon, the three of them strolled through the park. Sophie ran ahead, holding on to her favorite purple balloon, her laughter echoing through the air. Emily and Logan walked behind, their hands brushing together as if it were the most natural thing. "You know," Logan began, his tone reflective, "I used to think building a company was the hardest thing I'd ever do, but I was wrong. The hardest thing is becoming the man I've always wanted to be, for you and Sophie." Emily smiled softly. "You're doing an amazing job, Logan. Sophie adores you, and so do I." Logan stopped walking, his eyes filled with determination. "I need to do this right." To Emily's surprise, Logan knelt down, pulling a small box from his pocket. Sophie, standing a short distance away, squealed with excitement. "Mommy, what's Daddy doing?" "Emily," Logan began, his voice trembling slightly, "I hurt you before, but you gave me the chance to make things right. You've shown me what love and family truly mean. Now, I don't just want to be a good father. I want to be the husband you deserve. Will you marry me?" Again. Emily covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. She knelt down, taking Logan's hand, and nodded. "Yes, Logan, I will." Sophie ran over, wrapping her arms around both of them. "You have to get married again so I can be the flower girl." Logan laughed, pulling Sophie and Emily into a warm embrace. In that moment, he knew there was no greater success than having a family filled with love.